Oh my, this didn't get a wide theater release and I don't understand why. Who makes these decisions? We're having alpaca hamburgers for dinner tonight, says Nicolas Cage. Hey guys, and welcome to the Jimmy Eats Brain Show, your hub for everything horror. And today I'm going to be bringing you a review of the 2020 Nicolas Cage Lovecraftian horror sci-fi comedy nightmare, Color Out of Space. I think that if you're going to see a movie this weekend, this is the crowd pleaser film to see if this is at a theater near you. This is getting a small release in theaters, so it might not be, but it's worth the drive, I think, if you are a horror fan or if you are a film fan. This film stars Nicolas Cage, and it follows him and his family moving into a kind of desolate New England home to get away from city life. His wife is newly recovering from cancer treatment, and he has 3 children. And 2 boys and a young girl, one who is interested in the witchcraft arts, I guess you would call it, and 1 teenage boy and 1 slightly younger boy. And basically the premise is they're all kind of dealing with their own separate struggles as a family, and then this giant flaming pink stinky meteor crashes in their backyard and their entire life is thrown on its head. Based off of the highly controversial story that was written by H.P. Lovecraft. Not really going to get into that in this video. I think that if you're going to see a movie this weekend, this is the crowd pleaser film to see if this is at a theater near you. This is getting a small release in theaters, so it might not be, but it's worth the drive, I think, if you are a horror fan or if you are a film fan. The first couple acts in this film, I want to say the first 45 minutes, are absolutely so entertaining. Nicolas Cage is being Nicolas Cage. He's playing a crazy dad at the beginning, and the rest of the cast matches his crazy and spot-on performance. The older daughter, her performance was really good too. I don't like some of the direction that they took with her character later on in the film, which might skew my overall opinion of her performance because of how I viewed her character. But overall, the performances in this film are definitely one of the strongest parts of it. Who like gory films or bloody films or kind of more vulgar horror films that have lots of F-bombs, have lots of crazy stuff, and don't shy away from the touchy topics will really like this one. Not to say that I think it's crazy vulgar or gets into anything very gruesome, but the topics that they do delve into are pretty dark and pretty deep, as in line with the Lovecraftian genre. But it kind of does some weird things and some strange things that I think a lot of other horror films would have strayed away from, and they just went all the way in with it. I think they were kind of pushed to do that type of thing because they had such a small budget, but I think it worked out really well for them. This was directed by Richard Stanley, and I think the biggest props for this film should be given to him. I think that he carried this film solely with his filmmaking capabilities. The strongest part of this story was the storytelling. You really felt like you were reading a novel while you were watching the beginning parts of this film. And that's kind of where the nice things I have to say stop, unfortunately, to bring it to a halt quickly. Because once you kind of get into the more Lovecraftian stuff of everybody is doomed and you're kind of just, you know, nothing good is going to come and you're just watching things unfurl, that's when the plot and pacing of the movie really lost me. That final act, there was so much great tension built and amazing character building, and they let it really fall flat in the final act. That's not to say I think they did anything particularly wrong. I just think the really amazing things that they had going for them didn't hold up in that final act. So it was really noticeable when it was not up to the standards of the beginning parts of the film. With that being said, this film did a lot of things that other movies just simply can't do. This was another one of the horror movies that has been coming out in the recent years that people aren't going to talk about how funny it is. You could watch this movie and drink a couple of beers and like almost view it as like a comedy movie. And I guess that's part of the Lovecraftian genre, the so wacky, almost be laughable, but this film really tackled it in a way where it seemed purposeful at times, and part of the horror for me was almost not being able to differentiate the wacky, crazy horror things from the actual horror, and that's why I like the beginning 2/3 of this film, because it really let you play on that. Is this madness? Is this new DNA hybrid, you know, animal bacteria life form that's attacking them? Is this dad just crazy? You know, really let that tension build for you, and in the third act they kind of just let it splat. I don't want to harp on that too much because I really understand that that's in the scape of what the Lovecraftian genre is, but I think that they did some really sad stuff with the characters in the later parts of the film, and that's where I kind of want to critique a little bit more and let people know. Now I am going to be diving into the scenes that I really liked, the scenes that I think were really good, the scenes I think were really bad. So if you don't want to know in-depth stuff like that, you might want to go check out one of my other videos and then go check out that movie and then come back here. If you like these types of reviews where I split it up for the people who haven't seen the film and for people who want to come and talk about it after seeing it, leave a comment down below because I'll be a lot more motivated to do those for you in the future, because it is a lot easier to just talk about the film after seeing it and not worry about filtering it for people who haven't seen. But I'm totally open to doing that for you guys because I'm all about the community and discussion. But getting into spoilers, we've got some really good stuff to talk about here. 2/3 of this film were so good. They were so good. The finger cutting scene where the mom cuts off the tips of her fingers, that scene was so phenomenal. I'm not even kidding you. The tension that they built in that scene is probably one of my top 5 favorite scenes I've seen in the last year. I know a lot of people don't like slow close-up clippy scares like that because they think that they're cheap, but the cinematography that they did in this with flashing between the youngest child approaching the mother and then the mom actually cutting the stuff up, it built tension so fast and so unpredicted. And then automatically when you're finally expecting to see a flash and get an image of her cutting her finger, it pans back from where the mother's standing, from behind her, shows the boy's face and him getting blood all over his face from her cutting her finger open. What, dude? That scene was awesome. Also, a lot of the prosthetic work in this was so good. Their prop work was amazing. The alpaca scene where he just goes in guns a-blazing and just turns all the alpacas into alpaca goo. It really just goes to show that you don't need to dump millions and millions of dollars into CG to get a really, really effective scene. And that's why I think that people who just are lovers of film can really enjoy this. Ooh, the mom and the boy literally getting morphed together by the meteor. Oh my god, dude, when they were morphed and moaning in synchronicity, it reminded me of the scenes in Midsummer when all of the cult women are all scream crying together. Oh, it's just, and they had this echoey, synthy filter on their voices. It was so terrifying. That's what I'm saying. This film did so much in the beginning 2/3 that it was almost really hard to live up to it with the budget, and you kind of felt that it might fall flat. But those beginning 2/3 are so enjoyable, and you get so much just thrill and fun out of them that, I mean, I really can't be upset with the ending not being up to my standards, because it would have been impossible, honestly. I think that this movie is the movie to see. It's coming out on, I believe, VOD and on demand halfway through February. So if you guys aren't able to find it anywhere online, or if it isn't in a theater near you, I highly, highly recommend resisting all the spoiler stuff and going and checking this film out when it comes out, because this is a fun ride and it's a fun watch. I think this movie would be even more fun to watch at home with your friends. I'm just that type of person where I really think that's a fun thing to do. I think I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's as good as other films in the genre like Annihilation and things like that, but I think that it did something really unique and it did something really fun. And when I go to the movies, that's all I want. So, 2 thumbs up from me. Go and check out my underwater review if you haven't yet. That one is awesome. I highly recommend seeing that. So if you don't want to go and see this, or it's not in the theaters with you, go check out my underwater review, see if that's something up your alley, and then maybe go and see that. If you guys like the more explanation-y spoiler reviews, also make sure to throw a like on this or leave a comment down below letting me know, because I'm still trying to figure out what you guys want to see the most from me. If you guys have any new ideas on horror-related videos you'd like me to see, make sure to throw that down in the comments. I get back to every comment, so make sure if you're bored and want to have a discussion about some creepy movies, you're looking for something on Netflix and want somebody to give you something good, drop a question in the comments. With that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me in today's video. But with that out of the way, stay creepy, and thanks for coming and talking about crazy Nick Cage.